We talked about basic SQL. You can utilize when you're designing the SQL statement. And in the second part, we are going to talk about more complex SQL you can utilize too. The first one I want to talk about is the aggregate function. So by using SQL, you can actually calculate and gather information together to get some aggregated information. So the syntax is this. You use the select clause, and after that you specify the aggregation function name, something like a count, sum, average, min, or max. So those are the aggregation function you can utilize. So you want to count how many records are there. You may use the sum information to sum up the information, and you can calculate average, or you can identify the minimum number or maximum number like that. And then you can specify the column inside the parenthesis, and then you can specify from and where, like the other cases. So there's an exercise here, so we can simply try to do this. So for example, in the part table, we have product information, and there are multiple products this company is selling. And we want to know how many products are in total in the part table, then we can use this aggregated function. So this one is very simple, so we can simply specify select clause, and after that we can count how many items are there. And here we have to specify the column name, but in this case we want to know how many products are in the part table. So we can simply use star sign to count everything. And then we can specify the from and the table name, which is a part. And we want to know how many products belong to item class HW. So we can use the where statement to select only those products belong to item class HW, which is item class like HW, like this. So that's it. So basically we can copy this, and on the MySQL I put this, and then if I perform this query, here is the result. So it will give you the simple number because we did the aggregation. So instead of listing all the information, it will give you a simple number based on the aggregation function you use. So in this case, there are 4 products which belong to item class HW. So we can know that based on this query. Okay, so that's this. And the next one, we can also utilize other aggregation functions. So in this case, let's try to utilize a sum. So earlier we had the customer table, and in the customer table we have multiple customer information, and their balance is different. So basically the balance measures how much money they used in this company, how much money they have to pay in this company basically. And we want to know how many customers exist. So we want to know the number of customers in this company, and we also want to know the total of their balance. So how much money they have to pay. So how much money they spent basically. In this case, we can use 2 aggregation functions. So we can use select clause here first. And the first information we want to know is the number of customers. So we have to count. So we count how many customers are there. And then we want to know the total of their balance. So we can use the sum aggregation function to sum up balance value. So we specify balance here, like this, and specify from table name, customer table. Yeah, that's it. There we don't need any where statement in this case. So basically what's going to happen is this. This is information stored in the customer table, so we will count how many customers are there, and for each customer we have this balance value. So we will sum up all these balance value to see how much they spent in total. So we can copy this and go back to the MySQL here, paste, and if we run this query, so here's the information basically. So there are a total of 10 customers in this in this customer table, and the total balance will be about 2,944 something like this. Okay, so there's one more exercise for the aggregation function here. So let's say that we also want to find the average, maximum, and minimum balance of all the customer. So then we can use this other aggregation function. So we can use the select statement, and we want to know average balance and maximum balance. And the minimum balance like this. From these information are stored in first customer table, so we use from customer, and that's it. So copy this, and if we put that on the MySQL here and perform the query, then here is the result. So basically the average money customer used is about 294, and the maximum balance was 900 something, and the minimum balance was 10 something like this. So that's basically simple aggregation. And when you use aggregation, another function you will use a lot will be this group by statement. So basically the grouping, if you use this one, the grouping will cause a select statement to produce one summary information for all selected rows that have the same value as specified in the column under group by. So what it means is this. So I put some example here. So basically, these two rows, the first two lines are same as the previous. So you use a select statement, you specify aggregation function you want to use, and you specify the column you want to do aggregation. And then you specify the table information where this column information is stored. And in the last part, you specify group by, and you specify another column name. So basically, based on the value of this column you specify next to the group by, the SQL will make different groups, and it will do aggregation based on each group. What it means is this. If you specify group by, so let's say that we have this part table, product information is stored here, and earlier I mentioned that there's an item class attribute. So for each product, it belongs to a certain item class. It can be either HW, SG, AP. So based on item class, we want to do aggregation. You can specify this item class here. Then item class has only 3 values available. And based on the HW, it will do aggregation. Based on the SG item class, it will do aggregation. And based on AP, it will do aggregation. So by utilizing group by information, by utilizing group by clouds, you are able to do aggregation based on different value in that column. So when you can use this, I'll show you more examples later. And another thing is that when you use group by, you can also use having clouds in the end. So you do basically this SQL statement will say that you want to do aggregation from table based on group you specify here, and then you can also specify the having clause at last. So here on the having clause you can specify the condition you want to mention. So let's say that you make multiple groups, but you don't want to do aggregation for all the groups. You want to do aggregation based on a certain group which satisfies a certain condition. Then that condition you can specify after having clause. So this condition you specify here after having clause will be applied into the group, not into all the record. So the difference basically is very similar to the where clause, but the difference is this. If you use where clause, the condition you specify will be applied on individual row, so all the data. and the condition you specify on the having clause will be applied on the group. So where clause can be used anywhere regardless of aggregation, and having clause can be only used with aggregation. So that's the main difference. And if you do more exercise here, you will get this difference more easily. So let's look at this. So I prepared some exercise here. Okay. So in this case, we want to find the number of products for each item class. So again, product information is stored in the part table, and each product belongs to different item class. And for each item class, we want to know how many products are there. Then we can design this query to answer this question like this. So we can use the select statement, and we can show the item class first. And for each item class, we want to know how many products belongs to it. So in this case, we have to use the count aggregation, because we have to count how many products are there. So for each item class, we count the product from part table, and then here we use group by clause to group products into different item class. So here we use item class like this. So again, if you design query like this, based on group by item class, all these products will be grouped based on this item class information, HW, SG, or AP, and it will count, it will do aggregation there. So it will count how many products belong to HW, SG, AP. So if I copy this, and here in SQL, if I put it here and perform the query, so here is the result. So basically, for each item class, HW, we have 4 products, SG, we have 4 products, AP, we have 2 products, like this. So this is the example of utilizing group by clause in the SQL. So next one is this. So earlier I said that we can also, when we use group by and aggregation, we can also utilize having a clause to give a condition on the aggregation. So let's think about this case. We want to list item class that has at least 3 different type of products. So earlier from earlier examples, we know that there are 3 different types of item class, HW, SG, AP, and we want to know which item class has at least 3 different type of products. Then we can design this query like this. So we can use the select statement. What we want to know is an item class. So specify item class here from part table, which contain product information, and we want to do group by based on item class, because we have to compare the number of products in each item class. So we first make a group, and then we can use having a clause here. So when we, after making a group, there will be a certain number of products inside each group. So we count how many products are in each group, and that number should be at least 3, like this. So basically, this is an example of utilizing having clause. So by using having clause, you can make a condition for by using aggregation on that group. So to see the results of this query, so copy this, and here put it. And if I run the query, here is the result. So earlier, item class HW and SG each had 4 products. So, but the AP had only 2 products. So based on this query, we can see that only 2 item class HW and SG has at least 3 or more than 3 products. So that's basically an example of how we can utilize the having clause when we do aggregation with the group by. Okay, so far all the queries that I showed you today was based on the single table. So as an example, we only use the single table and the information stored there to do and to perform SQL. However, we are utilizing relational database, and there are multiple tables, and those tables are related by primary key and the foreign key. So definitely we want to utilize those information, and we want to get and retrieve information from multiple tables. Then you can also design the query that can do multi-table query. In that case, you have to use this join procedure. Basically, join is a process of combining data from multiple tables. So it will match data from 2 or more tables based on the same value in column you specify. So what that means is that there are 2 tables which are related together by primary key and foreign key. Then you have to specify that. You have to specify primary key and foreign key to match these 2 tables. So that's what it means by multi-table query. So in this example here, person table and passport table, they are connected together with the Hong Kong ID. It's primary key here, it's a foreign key here. So using the same value in this Hong Kong ID in 2 different tables, we are able to match the data. So for example, in the person table, Hong Kong ID 123 has a name key. So using this value 123 in Hong Kong ID, we go here on another table and we match the same value, and we can retrieve the related information. So that's the join process in the relational database. And there are 3 types of join in relational database, and the most common join is inner join. So basically, if you use inner join, it will return rows, basically the rows of information, only when there is a match between both tables. So let's think about this case. In the person table, we have 3 information about the 3 people. And in the passport table, we have 2 rows of information. And let's say that the third person, here with the Hong Kong ID 999, let's say that this person didn't make any passport. Then his passport information will not be here. So there is no matching record for this Hong Kong ID 999 in passport table. Then if you use inner join, this information will be not included as a result because there is no matching record. So if you use inner join, there should be a matching record here and here between 2 tables to return the result. So for Hong Kong ID 123, whose name is key, it's here, and the passport information can be found here. So we add it here, and Hong Kong ID 123's name and passport information will be returned together. Same for Hong Kong ID 456, his information is here, and also there is matching information here. So this Hong Kong ID 456, his information will be returned here together. But the last person, he doesn't have any matching record here, then that information will not be returned. So when you use inner join, just remember that when there is a matching record between 2 tables, the result will be returned. And how to use inner join in MySQL is like this. So you use select statement, and previously we only used the column name because we used the single table. But now we are using more than 1 table. So you have to put table name here and use dot and the column name here to specify this column information is in this table. And one thing is that if this column name only exists in 1 table, you don't need to put table name because this column exists only in 1 table. So for example, here in this example, there is a name field, but there is no name field here. So in that case, you don't need to put table information. You can just put column name. And then you can specify the from clause, and here you can specify the table, and you can use inner join, and you can specify the related table. And then you will use the on operator to specify how they are related. So here is the area. You specify what is the foreign key and what is the primary key related between these two tables. So in this example, person table and passport table, we can use this SQL query to get this result. So basically we specify select person.Hong Kong ID because the Hong Kong ID field exists in both tables. So we have to specify which table you want to bring this information. So I specify person.Hong Kong ID and name passport number information from, and I specify which two tables will be inner joined. So person inner join passport based on person.Hong Kong ID and passport.Hong Kong ID like this. So basically when Hong Kong ID from person table and Hong Kong ID from passport table is the same, we combine that information. So that's what we mentioned by specifying SQL like this. So that's the multi-table query basically. And there are two, so earlier I said that there are three types of join and two other types of join is this. So earlier the inner join is the most common case and the second type of join is the left join. It's very simple. In this case, you will return all the rows from the left table and the matched rows from the right table. So let's say that if you use a statement like this, so in the from, you specify person table, left join passport table, all the information from person table will be returned, even though there is no matched information on the passport table. So their information will be returned first, and for the first person, the matched information will be returned. Second person, matched information will be returned. And for the third person on the left table, there is no matching information, then the null will be added here. So passport number, expiration date, for the third person, it will be null record. So that will be returned as a result. So you can use your left join when you want to see all the information from the left table, even though there is no matching record on the related table. So in that case, you can use the left join. The right join is the same, exactly same as left join. In this case, it will return all the results from the right table and only match the results from the left table. So in this case, in this example, in this specific example, the results of using right join will be same as using inner join in this case. Okay, so I prepared some exercise for the multi-table query. So let's try to do this together. So in this case, if you remember again in our database, we have a customer table and sales representative table. So sales person represent some customer, and each customer should be represented by only one sales person. So what we want to know is this. We want to know the number and name of each customer together with the number and name of sales person who represent that customer. So for every sales person, we want to know who is the dedicated sales person for them. Then in this case, because the information are stored in two tables, we have to use the join, basically, the multi-table query. So for this, we can design the query like this. So using the select statement first. And what we want to know is customer number and customer name. So customer number and customer name is only stored in customer table. So we can just specify the attribute name like this. And also we want to show the dedicated salesperson number and name. The thing is this, here salesperson number is here and also here. It's both same name, salesperson number, salesperson number. So we have to specify which table we want to bring salesperson number. So in this case, if I want to bring salesperson number from salesperson table, I specify the table name and then specify the column name. Okay, like this. And then the salesperson name only exists in the salesperson table, so we don't need to specify the table name. Okay, like this. And the next step is defining the table. So where this information is stored, which we want to show. It's stored in two tables, customer table and the salesperson table. So we specify that. So customer table. And in this case, we can use the inner join, because in this case, by definition, by inferring from the relational model, for every customer, there should be matched salesperson. So we can use inner join in this case. So for every customer, there should be matched salesperson information. So we use inner join between customer table and sales representative table, like this. And use the on operator, and here we specify what will be the primary key and foreign key matched together. So the foreign key is customer tables sales representative number. It should be matched with primary key, which is in sales representative table. And sales representative number, like this. So that's it. So that's basically the simple multi-table query we can utilize to answer this question. So we can try this. So select this and copy and bring it to the here MySQL and paste. And if we run this query, basically, here is the result. So as you see here, we have the customer, and you can see that all customer number is different. So for each customer, we have a customer number and name. We have a matched salesperson number and salesperson name, like this. So basically, salesperson number 3 manage 3 customer, salesperson number 6 manages 4 customer, salesperson number 12 manages 3 customer, like this in our database. Okay, so that's the example of a multi-table query using inner join. So basically you can do like this. You can use a left join and right join depending on what you want in the future. Another type of query we can also utilize in the SQL is a subquery. So sometimes we want to design and perform more complex query and we want to get some result, then we can use the subquery. So for example, if you use subquery, basically it will query multiple tables by nesting of a select statement together, and the format of this will be something like this. So here, inside this parenthesis, we specify one query. So select from where, and then based on this query, which is nested inside the parenthesis, we will have some result. And that result, we can use it to make another condition. And then this result will be used as a value into the main query here. So the first part is the main query, and the second part, which is inside the parenthesis, is the subquery. The result of subquery will be used in the main query to perform another query, basically. So in what case we want to use this is in the next example here. So next example, it gives a good scenario when you want to use a subquery, basically. So let's say that you want to find those products in your part table whose unit price is greater than the average price of all products. So you have multiple products in your part table, and you want to find out what kind of products you are selling is more expensive than average price of your product. Then in this case, you can use a subquery because the second information here, the average price of all products, we don't know this. So we don't know this, and to know the average price of all products, we have to design another query to know that information. And this second information is always changing depending on if we have more products added in the future. So in this case, we can design the query for the second part, this blue part, as a subquery, and based on the value of the subquery, we can perform the main query, which is in red. So for this type of situation, we can design query like this. So the red part, we can start there first. To design the query, the main query for the red part, what we want to do is this. We want to see the part information. So let's say that we want to see all the part information from part table where the unit price, which is unit PRC, is bigger than average price, which we don't know. So that will be the subquery. So basically this first part is about the main query. So we want to list everything from part table when unit price is bigger than something. And bigger than what? Which is the average price. So we can calculate that in the subquery. So in the subquery, basically we can calculate average unit price. So we can use the aggregation here from part table. And then that's it. So this one will be the subquery basically. So copy this and perform here, then you will see the result like this. So basically there are 3 products which has unit price higher than average price of all the products. Okay. So it's very simple. So basically the main point is this. When you design the subquery, you have to put it here inside the parentheses, and the result of this query can be used again to design your main query. So that's the main thing for this one. Okay, so basically that's all about the regular select query that I want to talk about. So if you know all these queries that I explained so far, you should be able to design all different complex SQL queries by utilizing all these things. And another type of the data manipulation language in SQL is insert. So last time we briefly talked about how you can insert data into your table using the graphical user interface of MySQL Workbench. But if you want to add data using SQL, then you can also use insert into statement. So select statement is about retrieving data which you already have inside the database system. And if you use insert into statement, you are adding data into a table. So I'm not going to talk too much about this today, but it's very simple. So basically, you can specify insert into statement and specify the table name which you want to add data. And you can specify columns where your data should be inserted. And then you can put the value which is designed for each column like this. There's also another statement which is updated statement. So you already have some data stored inside your table, but some things are changed, then you want to update those data, then you can use updated statement. So you can change the values in the listed columns of a specified table. And if you use so basically it's like this. So you can specify the table name which you want to update after updated statement. And then you can specify the set operator, and you can specify the column which you want to update and the value which you want to update into. And then you can also use where clause. If you use where clause, you can specify which column which information you want to update basically. So in the table you have multiple rows of information and you want to update a column for a certain rows of certain rows in the table, then you can specify that condition in the where here. So if you don't have a where clause when you use your update statement, then the entire rows of data in your table will be updated together because there is no where condition. So another is a delete statement. So sometimes you want to delete old records from the table, then you can use this delete statement. So it's very similar to the updated statement. So you simply specify delete from and the table name which you want to delete data from, and on the where clause you specify the condition. When this condition is satisfied, you want to delete that information from the table like that. One thing is this. So here there is a where clause here and there is a where clause here for the update. So earlier I said that if you don't put where clause here for the update, for example, then the entire rows of data will be updated. But in MySQL Workbench and also many other different client software for the database system, usually this is not allowed because it is very weird to perform some SQL to update the entire rows of data in the table. Usually that's a very unusual case. So by default, MySQL and also other database software, they do not allow update or delete query without any where condition. So they usually give you a warning if you try to do that. And by default, they will not allow you to do that. So in MySQL, if you want to change that setting, you can turn off the safe update option. So previously many students asked about this. So I put how to do that here. So you can go to the edit on top menu and go to the preference. And there's an SQL editor option. So here you can enable or disable the safe update. So this can be found here. So basically in MySQL, there's here edit menu on the top. And here, the last option under edit menu is a preference. So you can go there. And here, on the left sidebar of the preference, the second option is SQL editor. So you can click SQL editor. Like this. And if you click SQL editor, there are multiple options here. If you scroll down, the last one is a safe update. So currently in my system it's turned on. So if I try to use update or delete statement without any where clause, then it will not work. So if I want that to be work, then I have to turn this off and click OK to change the setting. So after you change the setting, probably you have to restart it because let me check again whether it's okay. So earlier it looks like there was some problem, but now it's changed it. Okay, so let's do that and let's try to do next exercise using the update query. So here what we want to do is this. So currently in our database we have these three tables: order table, order line table, parts table. So basically for each order there could be many products, and each product can be included in many different orders. So between order table and parts table, it's a many-to-many relationship. So we have this assignment table in between. So order line table has an order number, part number, both as a primary key, so that it can have assignment information. So when a certain order includes a certain product, it will be here, certain order, certain product. Those will be used as a primary key. And we also have a number of order and quoted price information. So basically, in a certain order, when I order a certain product, I can specify how many products I want to include in my order. And if I order a lot, I may get some discount. So quoted price will be here. So this quoted price will be different from unit price. So unit price is a regular price of the product, and the quoted price is when I order this part, it's a different price basically. So it's the price that I will pay for this unit of the product. So here what we want is this. So currently in the order table, we don't have information about how much I have to pay for each order. So we want to create that. So we have to first create a new field, order total, in the order table because we don't have that information. And then we have to that field, order total, with the total price of each order. So let's make the field first. So currently there's no field, so we can go to the MySQL workbench. So one way to make the field is that we can go back to the relational model and add it and synchronize it, but it takes too much time, so let's use the simple way right now. So on the left sidebar, under order system database, under table, we have this order table. So right click on the orders table, and there's an alter table option, so we can click that. So here we can add one field just for exercise. So here the last field, just double click and let's add. Let's add the order total field. So I will type ORD TOTAL for the order total field like this. And the data type should be so I have to use the number that can have a decimal point, so I'll use the float. So there's a float data type, so let's use that. Like this. So this is what I did. So on the order table, I added the order total field, and the data type, I used the float. So that's it. So if you are done that, you can click the apply button here on the right bottom corner to apply this change. So once you click right apply button, basically it will say that they will perform this SQL code, alter table, and they are adding new column, order total, like this. So which is correct. So let me click apply button again, and then it's done. Click finish. So now I refresh the database, and if I click order table, I can see that there's an order total field added as a float data type like this. Okay. So what I did was this. So in the order table, I right click and I went to the alter table, and then I added a new field. So I used this, and I added a new field, order total, with the float data type like this. Okay, so I finished the first step here. So basically this first step is done. So I made a new field, order total. And the second thing I need to do is I have to now update this field. So I need to update this field with the total price of each order. So we have to think about how this total price of each order will be computed first. So basically it's this. So we have an order number here in the order table, and there will be assignment information stored here. So for example, if we have an order number 12489, and this each order, it can contain multiple different products. So if we look at this assignment table for order number 12489, it's here, here. So there are currently 2 products for the order number 12489, and those are AX12 and CZ81, like this. And in this order number 12489, for the first product, AX12, this person ordered 11 quantity. And for the CJA1, this person ordered 100 quantity. And the quoted price for the first product is here, about $15. And the quoted price of the second product is about $100. So to calculate total price of each order, basically what I have to do is that I have to multiply for each product in that order. I have to multiply number of order times quoted price. Same thing here. For the second product in this order, I have to multiply number of order and quoted price. And I have to sum these two information. So basically you can think in this way. For each order, I have to sum up number of order times quoted price. So this is what I have to calculate. So basically the order total for a certain order I will be a sum of product J in the order I, like this, right? So basically that's what we have to calculate, and we have to update order total based on this mathematical formula. So now we know what information we have to use to calculate this information. Then we are able to design the query based on this. So keeping this in our mind, and let's go to the next page to design query. Let me delete this. Can I? Okay. So for this query, first of all, we are updating information, so we have to use update query, and we have to specify which table we want to update. It's orders table which contains order total attribute. So we specify we want to update the order table, and which field we want to update we specify here. So order total field we just created. This should be updated into something. And then we specify how to calculate this new information. So here I use the subquery. Because I'm not updating this field into a simple information, I have to actually calculate this new information. So I use the subquery to perform that mathematical formula that I specified earlier. So use the select, and earlier there was a summation. So I have to summation over order line table as a number of order, the quantity of the product in each order, multiplied by the quoted price, which is also stored in order line table, which is assignment table. Like this. And we specify from where this information is stored, which is order line table, which is assignment table. And we are going to this summation only for a certain order, the current order basically. So when order number match between orders and order line assignment table. Like this. So that's it. So the thing is this, once we know how this information is calculated from the multiple table based on mathematical formula, it's quite straightforward to design SQL query like this. So we can copy this and test whether it actually works. So copy first and put it here. And before I perform it, let me check the order table first. So if I right click on order table and if I click select row, then I see that order total is currently null. So there is no information. And let's just see what happens after I perform this. So I made this query and I click the right hand icon to perform the query. No database is selected. So let me double click order system to select this and click right hand icon again. Also, it says currently I'm on the safe update mode. So let me double check. So it's not. Let me try again. I saved it. Okay, let me restart this. I think probably it's because of that. So let me try. So sometimes after change setting like that, you have to restart it. So let me try again. Oh, so now it worked. Okay. So it says that. So if it works, if your update query works okay, then it will show this message. It says that there's a green icon, so it performed correctly, and it says 7 rows are affected. So 7 data is updated. So now if I go back to the order table and look at that, then I see that all the order total information is updated correctly like this. So that's basically how you can utilize this update query. I have just one more thing, so let me finish this quickly. So another thing I want to talk about is a trigger. So sometimes in the database system, you want to make an automatic process like a macro. So macro is just what like if a certain event happens, you want the system to perform some operation automatically. So trigger is exactly like that. So you can specify a certain automatic process that database system have to do when a certain specific event occurs. So you can specify that by using trigger. So for the timing, you can use before or after. So when a certain event happens, do something before that or after that. So you can specify that, the timing. And also you can specify the event. So what to do when a certain event happens. You can ask the database to insert something, update something, or delete something. So basically, for the trigger, you can use this statement. Create trigger to make the name of your trigger. So you are making the name of your trigger here. So later, using this name, you can delete this trigger or edit this trigger. And then you can specify the timing here, before or after. What happens? Insert on table. It means that if some data is inserted on this table, after that, I do something. And for each row, and then, so you specify for each row, and you specify the SQL statement, what you want database to do. So let me show you a simple example of this really quickly. So let's just do it together. So earlier, we made the order total here, right? So yeah, it's not here, but we made it. So order total field is here. And earlier, we made the update query to update this order total information by ourselves manually. However, whenever new order is made, whenever the customer puts a product into their order, we want to update the order total information. So like in an online system, when you add some product in your cart total price is changed, right? So we want to implement that in this system. Then you can make this trigger. So basically, we want to make the trigger that updates this order total automatically whenever new product is added into your order. So that's what we want to do. Then you can utilize this trigger information. Because we don't have much time, so let me show you how we can make this trigger here first. So let me type this first and let me explain you what it means. Okay, so it's very simple, right? So let me explain briefly what it means. So first of all, this part is basically what I explained earlier. So I make a trigger, whose name is update order total. So later I can delete it if I want. And for the event, so this is the event here after insert on order line. So order line was assignment table. So if a customer puts a product in their order, the new information will be added into order line. So after a product is added on a certain order, so I want to mention that. So if something is added into order line table, that's the event. So if that event happens, that's the what did I say? Oh yeah, event. Okay, yeah. So event, that's an event. So timing and event. So if that event happens, then I perform this. That's what I mentioned. So here there is a for each row. For each row means every new data. That's what it means. So if a new product is added into order line, the new row will be added into order line. So for that new row, I specify what to do here. So what to do is basically this. I want to update order table, and in the order table, I want to update order total information because a new product is added into the order. How to update? I use this aggregation query. So it's the same aggregation query I used earlier for the update order. So basically calculating the order total information. And then I added this line at last. Because earlier when we design update query for the order total, we want you to update the order total for every row, every order information in the order table. But in this case, we don't need to do that. We only want to update the order total for the order which has a new product included. So we only need to update one information. That's why I added this. So here the condition is this: update order total only when order number in order table is matched with the order number of new data. So new data means that the assignment table. So in the order line, when a product includes a certain product into the order, it will have an order number and product number in the assignment table. So when only update this for that order number matching in the order table like this. So that's what I mentioned for the last row in this trigger statement. So I included the trigger here because the trigger is actually very useful and it's used a lot in the database system. So after you design entire database system, there are a lot of processes you want the server to perform automatically so that you don't need to do everything manually.